In the deep oceans of the Second World War, one weapon changed naval combat more than any other. It was silent, hidden, and feared by every sailor who stepped onto a warship. Torpedoes first proved their potential in the closing years of the First World War. Sleek, silent, and deadly, these weapons showed that a single hit from beneath the waves could sink even the largest ships. By the time the Second World War arrived, every major naval power was racing to develop faster, longer-ranging, and more reliable torpedoes. Across the oceans, these weapons would claim tens of millions of tons of shipping, with Germany and Japan responsible for the majority of the destruction. In this video, we'll go nation by nation, starting with torpedoes that had more limited impact and moving up to the deadliest and most legendary torpedoes of the war. We'll look at what submarines, surface ships, and even aircraft were using, and how these silent hunters shaped the course of naval combat. Before we dive in, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to Ships of War. It really helps us out and keeps these stories coming. The French Navy entered World War II with a range of torpedoes, primarily submarine-launched and ship-launched models such as the 550mm torpedo used on the Redoutable and Diane-class submarines. They were reliable for their time, but they lacked the long-range, stealth and explosive power of the Japanese Long Lance or German G7 series. French torpedoes were mainly used in Mediterranean and Atlantic patrols, with some success against Axis shipping before the fall of France in 1940. Their overall impact on tonnage sunk was modest, and after France was occupied, many of these torpedoes saw limited action under Vichy or Free French control. In terms of reliability and effectiveness, French torpedoes were competent and dependable for routine patrols, but they did not influence the course of the war in the same dramatic way as those of Germany, Japan, or the United States. Italy entered World War II with a naval strategy focused on the Mediterranean, a confined and heavily contested sea. Their torpedoes, while not as advanced as those of Germany or Japan, were used aggressively and often with notable success. The Italian Navy deployed a variety of torpedo types, including the SI-270 and W-200, both designed for use on submarines and surface craft. These torpedoes were relatively small but reliable, and their moderate range suited the narrow waters of the Mediterranean. Italy also made extensive use of mass boats, small, fast torpedo boats designed for surprise attacks against larger warships. These boats could close quickly, launch their torpedoes, and retreat before the enemy could respond. Submarines complemented the mass boats, patrolling shipping lanes and coastal areas with deadly precision. Italian torpedo doctrine was bold. Crews often struck at night or from hidden positions, taking advantage of coastal geography to ambush enemy vessels. This approach led to some significant successes. Italian forces claimed a number of merchant and smaller naval vessels, particularly in the eastern and central Mediterranean, proving their tactics could be effective. In terms of overall impact, Italian torpedoes sank thousands of tons of Allied shipping in the Mediterranean. They were reliable, but their shorter range and smaller warheads meant they could not match the global reach or destructive power of German and Japanese torpedoes. Nevertheless, in the confined Mediterranean theater, Italian torpedoes were a serious threat and earned respect from both allies and enemies alike. At the start of World War II, the United States Navy faced one of its most frustrating challenges, its Mark XIV torpedo. Designed for submarines, it was meant to be a powerful weapon, capable of striking enemy shipping with precision, but in practice, it became a source of near-constant failure and frustration. Early in the early war, the Mark XIV ran too deep, often passing harmlessly under its intended target. The magnetic exploder, designed to detonate beneath a ship's keel for maximum damage, frequently malfunctioned. Even the simpler contact exploder sometimes failed, refusing to detonate on even direct hits. Submarine crews watched in disbelief as repeated attacks ended in miss after miss, unexploded torpedoes, and lost opportunities. These early failures were costly. Many attacks in the opening months of the Pacific War were ineffective, frustrating crews and threatening morale. But American submariners refused to give up. Relentless testing, field reports, and operational pressure finally forced a complete review of the Mark XIV's design. By 1943, after heavy corrections to depth control and exploder mechanisms, the torpedo became a reliable and deadly weapon. The post-fix Mark XIV proved devastating. American submarines struck Japanese merchant convoys with deadly efficiency, eventually sinking tens of millions of tons of shipping and strangling Japan's supply lines. Alongside the Mark XIV, the Mark XIII aircraft torpedo, initially plagued with similar flaws, was improved to become a formidable weapon for carrier-based aircraft, capable of sinking capital ships and transports alike. The legacy of U.S. torpedoes was clear: a slow and frustrating start, followed by a period of extraordinary success. By the end of the war, American torpedoes had become a cornerstone of the Pacific campaign, turning submarines and aircraft into lethal hunters across the vast oceans. The Royal Navy approached torpedoes with a conservative philosophy: reliability over flashiness. Their standard weapon was the Mark VIII torpedo, a proven workhorse that served on submarines, destroyers, and torpedo-carrying aircraft. British torpedoes were not as technologically advanced as some of their contemporaries, but their dependability made them a trusted tool for naval commanders. Crews knew that when fired correctly, the Mark VIII would run true, detonate as intended, and perform consistently, even if it lacked the drama of the Japanese long lance or the late-war German acoustic tracking. British torpedoes saw action across the Mediterranean and Atlantic. They were instrumental in coordinated attacks against enemy shipping, contributing to the disruption of Axis supply lines. Perhaps the most famous example came during the hunt for the Bismarck. Aircraft from HMS Ark Royal, armed with torpedoes, struck Bismarck's rudder in a pivotal moment, rendering the battleship unsteerable and allowing the Royal Navy to close in. In terms of overall impact, British torpedoes sank significant tonnage throughout the war, though not on the scale of German U-boats or Japanese destroyers. Their strength lay in consistency, turning otherwise risky operations into practical, achievable successes. The Mark VIII earned a reputation as one of the most dependable torpedoes in World War II, embodying the Royal Navy's pragmatic approach to naval warfare. Germany entered World War II with ambitious plans for submarine warfare, but the early months of the conflict revealed serious flaws in their torpedo designs. In 1939 and 1940, U-boat commanders reported torpedoes that ran too deep, detonators that failed, and magnetic exploders that often misfired. These issues frustrated crews and delayed early successes in the Atlantic. Rapid refinements followed. The G7a steam torpedo and the G7e electric torpedo became the backbone of U-boat operations. The G7a offered speed and long range, while the G7e provided stealth, running without leaving a trail of bubbles and making surprise attacks far more effective. Combined with wolfpack tactics, in which groups of U-boats attacked convoys together, these torpedoes devastated Allied shipping. Over the course of the war, German torpedoes were responsible for approximately 14 million tons of Allied shipping sunk, making the Kriegsmarine one of the deadliest users of torpedoes in history. Later in the war, the acoustic homing T5 Zornkönig introduced a terrifying new dimension, capable of tracking a ship's propeller noise and threatening even the most heavily protected escorts. Germany also experimented with air-launched torpedoes, though these were used on a more limited scale compared to their submarine arsenal. In terms of reliability and effectiveness, German torpedoes rose from early frustration to become among the most feared weapons of the war. Their success reshaped naval warfare in the Atlantic and cemented Germany's reputation as a master of submarine-launched torpedo combat. Japan entered World War II with a torpedo advantage unlike any other nation. The Type 93 Long Lance was a revolutionary weapon, powered by pure oxygen instead of compressed air. This gave it an unmatched range, unmatched speed, and near-total stealth, allowing Japanese destroyers and cruisers to strike without warning. With a massive 490-kilogram warhead, it could sink cruisers, battleships, and even carriers in a single hit. Japanese torpedoes proved their deadly efficiency in numerous night battles, including the Battle of Savo Island, the engagements around Guadalcanal, and the Battle of the Java Sea. In these encounters, long-lance torpedoes decimated Allied ships before they had a chance to respond, often changing the course of battles with surprising speed and precision. Submarines were also equipped with oxygen-fueled torpedoes, the Type 95, giving them similar advantages in range, stealth, and explosive power. Japanese aircraft carried the Type 91 torpedo, which had already proven highly effective in the opening strikes of the attack on Pearl Harbor. Combined across surface ships, submarines, and aircraft, Japanese torpedoes sank massive tonnage and inflicted heavy losses on Allied forces. Their performance in combat made them the most advanced and feared torpedoes of World War II, and their legacy influenced naval torpedo design for decades to come. In terms of reliability and battlefield impact, the Japanese Long-Lance and Type 95 torpedoes stood unmatched, a testament to innovative engineering and aggressive naval doctrine. Thank you for tuning into this journey beneath the waves. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to Ships of War. It really helps us continue bringing these stories from the sea, and we'd love to see you back for the next episode, and don't forget to comment, we read them daily and enjoy responding. Bye for now.